Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. I said yesterday,
you nailed it, Stephanie.
I said yesterday the Trump trial needed one thing, and that was more cowbell. And then we got it. There were cowbells.
There was cowbell outside. Yeah.
Cowbells, whistles, that bootlicker guy. I mean, that is amazing. There needs to be some medals of freedom handed out outside Donald Trump's criminal trial.
Yes.
That would be ideal. That would be perfect. I think they all deserve it. They're all patriots.
Yeah. Well, we were saying, we're pretty much agreeing with all the legal experts that the prosecution did an extraordinarily good job, and the Trump defense did an extraordinarily bad job, and Bob Costello was a disaster. I mean, what were your thoughts?
Well, of course, because they're being puppeteered by Donald Trump, the dumbest man in the history of dumb guys. I mean, he's orchestrating everything that his people say publicly, from his criminal lawyers up to John Sauer, who argued before the Supreme Court, things that Donald Trump came up with, as he was sitting on his golden toilet, frantically tweeting, this is Donald Trump micromanaging everything. And that's all you got to know about how all of this stuff works. If there's something weird going on in Donald Trump's orbit, most likely Donald Trump's got his hands in that, his little stumpy fingers in that chaos, in that crime, in that misdeed. This is what he does all the time, and that's why it's impossible to not prosecute him, because his crimes are so obvious and unequivocal.
Yeah,
and
the lying,
you can't ignore them.
The lying is getting even worse, like in the sense that almost just about every single thing he says is a giant lie. Did you see him out there yesterday? He's like, I haven't even been charged with a crime. Like, says the guy who's been charged with, what, 90?
Yeah.
Like, he's standing outside a trial where he's been charged with 34 felonies. And he's like, they haven't even charged me with a crime. I mean, it just...
Right.
Okay.
There's an entire population of dumbasses out there who Donald Trump understands this. He understands that no matter what he says, there's going to be a bunch of people with broken BS detectors who will just absorb every word of it and say, "Oh yeah, I guess that's what's happening." If he says New York and Paris and London are just collapsing, they're just disasters, then they're going to go, "Well, yeah, I guess Paris is not like what it used to be, and it's all crumbling to the ground like the apocalypse." Yeah.
Yesterday, he both invented Minneapolis and won Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
Neither of which are true. However, Bob,
that's right.
This is going to be our fight against disinformation. I was quoting you already, as I do, that you made such great points on the Bob Seska Show.
Thank you very much.
SexyLiberal.com. Just about push polling, that these polls that, the 17% that think Biden's responsible for overturning Roe v. Wade. You made a great point. As I said, they shouldn't even be asking that question, because there's some percentage of derpers in this country that are tribal enough that anything that sounds bad for Biden, they're going to go like, yep. Right?
Yeah. Well, not only that, there are people obviously...
ask the question, who do you think is more responsible for Roe being overturned, Trump or Biden, implies that it's an opinion question, right?
Yes, of course. So what that suggests to a person answering their cell phone with a strange phone number, that's the first red flag.
Yeah.
Anyone who's going to answer a blind phone number on their cell phone, there may be something wrong with that person. But secondly, the other thing is, what that poll question does is inserts into that person's mind, well, maybe it's possible that Joe Biden was responsible for the Dobbs decision. Maybe it's possible Joe Biden was responsible for the end of Roe v. Wade, the end of reproductive rights in this country. And so that's what a push poll is. You're not just asking a question, you're inserting an idea into the minds of the respondents. And that in and of itself is unethical. That is something that if you see that as part of a poll, then you're completely free to question the veracity of that poll.
It's the maggot, that we played, Jody, remember a few weeks ago about I have diabetes and I just, I'm so grateful that Donald Trump got me $35 insulin. I mean, these are not opinion questions. Who do you think's more responsible for getting you $35 insulin? It's not a multiple choice. Joe Biden got you $35 insulin. I mean, this is going to be our fight, right?
Yeah. Well, in another case, I think of turning a fact into pure disinformation is this thing that happened yesterday with this filing in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, which is really, that's really like squarely in my wheelhouse, this thing, because it involves not only
It's a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. It's inciting violence. You're right, Bob, and you were on it right away.
And also, it's bad reporting.
Yeah, you said I was right. It's boilerplate. It has been for 24 years. Meantime, Trump co-star Marjorie Taylor Greene screeching Biden intended to murder Trump. You retweeted Frank Figliuzzi right away, who said the FBI followed standard protocol in this search as we do for all search warrants, which includes a standard policy statement limiting the use of deadly force. No one ordered additional steps to be taken. There was no departure from the norm in this matter. Yep, every FBI operations order contains a reminder of FBI deadly force policy. Even for a search warrant, deadly force is always authorized if the required threat presents itself. And Bob, as you always say, what's distracting from what? I'm going to guess it's the story that Trump had even more documents there in his bedroom that they didn't find until 4 months later. And what's the other thing? One of his people copied stuff onto their personal laptop. Those are the stories, right?
Yeah, as I said, it's undeniable. You can't not prosecute this because it's right there. It would be so dumb to say, well, I don't see anything here. But you know what this is like with this policy statement about deadly force? This is like Donald Trump looking at his pillow and seeing the tag that says, do not remove under penalty of law, and going, why does Joe Biden want to arrest me for removing this tag? It's not about you. This is on everyone's pillow. It's a thing that is common across the board. It's not about you, you narcissistic sociopath maniac. You stupid monster, step off the stage finally and let us all breathe in peace and live our lives without your gigantic pumpkin head screaming in our faces. And there are a bunch of morons who are about to manifest another 4+ years of this guy camping out in our living rooms 24/7. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Bob, that is the best analogy. You get the best analogy award, the mattress tag.
Yep.
Yep. Biden's trying to assassinate me for mattress crime.
I mean, but look, this is going to turn into something serious because someone's going to try to retaliate against Joe Biden. That's the problem with this. Or some random Democrat that they're going to pick. Oh, yeah, we'll show you threatened Donald Trump with murder, with assassination, with your raid when he wasn't even at Mar-a-Lago at the time.
Oh, my God. Right, which the FBI knew, of course. Yeah. So in terms of this trial, so this is just one analysis. Trump's defense ended on a horrible note as witness insulted the jury. As I always say, it's the Bob Cesca rule. Trump always makes things worse for Trump. So, yeah, this is one analysis. Trump's defense team completely dropped the ball by calling Cohen's former legal advisor, Robert Costello, to the stand, where he proceeded to cause courtroom chaos and get completely impeached by his own emails, according to one prosecutor. In doing so, Trump's team wiped the jury's doubts about Cohen's own credibility as a witness from their minds and put that suspicion on Costello. Oh, my God. By calling him as their last witness, actually their only witness, they left the jury the following. Michael Cohen said, I really didn't trust Mr. Costello. I essentially thought he was a little sleazy. This is in Trump world. Right. And he was working for Giuliani and Trump, so I didn't want to give them anything that was going to hurt me in the end, so that's very understandable. When Costello took the stand, acted the way he did, in my 35 years of practicing law as a prosecutor, I've never, ever seen that he insulted the judge and he insulted the jury. The defense ended on a horrible, horrible note. It washed away everything they were trying to do with Michael Cohen, and here's the kicker. They actually rehabilitated Michael Cohen because Mr. Costello did come across as a little unsavory. I mean, that takes some doing in mob world, right?
Oh, yeah. This is a couple of things with Bob Costello's little dog and pony show the other day. First of all, it's pure Trumpism. This is a performance for Donald Trump, using Donald Trump's own style, completely disrespecting everything that has to do with the system or the rule of law. Plus, it's this thing that happens with, let's say, white men 60+ who like to think that they're in the mafia. They cosplay as, and I'm speaking as like an Italian American here. This is so annoying. Stop doing this, older white guys. Stop pretending you're in the mafia with the forget about and the gabagoo and all that nonsense. You're not fooling anyone. You're just a regular white guy. You're not in the mob. And by the way, why would you want to be a sociopath professional murderer? Why would you emulate someone like that? I love The Sopranos, and Tony Soprano was an incredible character played by an incredible legendary actor. But not for a second would I want to be Tony Soprano, emulate Tony Soprano. These are professional criminals who murder for a living.
It's like that commercial with the real rock stars saying, "Stop using the word rock star. You're not a rock star."
Yes. Cut it out. Stop it. It was even worse 20 years ago when The Sopranos was on. You could just go into work at the water cooler. A bunch of pure white waspy guys are like, "Yeah, hey, forget about it. Keep your enemies closer."
Like, what are we doing for lunch? Pasta Vagool or the Gabagool? What are we doing?
Yes. And then they make fun of Star Trek conventions, right?
Right.
Not even realizing that what they're doing is far worse than an innocent hobby.
Nerds come in every flavor, as you know, Bob.
Right.
Speaking of which,
this is worse. Yeah.
Is this a nerd reference? You tweeted, "Someone please dump some Tauntaun guts on him so he'll stop whining about an air-conditioned room."
That's Star Wars. I knew that.
That's an Empire Strikes Back reference. See, what happens is Luke Skywalker's he's lost in the wastelands of Hoth, where it's freezing, and the Tauntauns are going to freeze before they reach the first mark.
Beginning of the film.
And what happens?
All right. Beginning of the movie.
Yeah, Han Solo comes along and rescues him just as Obi-Wan Kenobi is telling him to go to Dagobah, and he's almost frozen to death.
Yeah.
So, Han Solo opens up his Tauntaun using a lightsaber.
Yeah.
This is why we can't have Bob on the same sexy liberal panel with Mark Hamill.
I could do this all day.
The nerdverse would explode.
Yeah.
Okay. So you retweeted Trump campaign vows to sue the Apprentice filmmakers over scene of Ivana Trump being raped by the then real estate mogul. And you said, so Donald wants his name and the word rape in endless headlines before an election while also granting free publicity for a movie in which audiences will see him raping his wife. Smart. Put this genius in charge of the government again. Ivana, people forget that. Mm-hmm. You know,
she wrote it in her book.
Jean Carroll, she wrote it in a book, and I hate to say, it tracks exactly with who Trump is.
Yes,
she recommended the doctor he went to hair transplants for. It was horribly painful, and so he ripped her hair out when in a rage. You know, so she would feel the same pain and raped. She wrote that in the book and raped her, and then of course it was a financial statement, and she took it back. But you don't write that in a book.
Yeah, you don't make that up.
Yeah.
He's a horrible, horrible, horrible monster. And this was one of those things where Trump always makes things worse for Trump. This is Donald Trump, as he said, calling attention to something that I wouldn't want anyone to see. If this was about me, I wouldn't want anyone to go near that movie. So why is he calling attention to this?
I know.
Why is he saying, hey, look at this movie? You know, in this movie, I'm depicted as raping my former wife, my late wife. Yeah. And why is that? Because I got botched hair plugs. And I was angry about the botched hair plugs, so I took it out on the woman who recommended the doctor who gave me the hair plugs. So he's not only emphasizing the fact that he raped his now late wife, but then he's emphasizing, calling attention to the fact that whatever it is on his head is hair plugs, and they botched them, and then we get our schadenfreude out of Donald Trump's botched hair plugs. Why would you call that's just so stupid? Just shut up and let it go.
Bob, two other, this is the dumbest, most obvious movie plot ever. You retweeted a question to Trump yesterday. Why did you post an ad calling for a unified Reich in a second term, echoing Nazi Germany? Trump ignores and walks away. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you also said he can't run a social media app. Imagine what he'll do to the economy. Well, he already did it. He already tanked our economy. Truth Social is lost over $300 million. I mean, Bob, why is it that bubble can't seem to be pierced? That's the base that still thinks he's a great businessman. How is that possible despite a mountain of facts otherwise?
Yeah, it's just decades of myth that Republicans are somehow better on the economy, even though what we know is history is completely contrary to that. We know that every Republican president for the last 100 years, at least 100 years, has presided over a recession. Some of them very, very deep recessions. See also George W. Bush and Donald Trump, who presided over colossal recessions. And for some reason, people have this twisted idea in their minds that these guys have some sort of key that unlocks a booming economy, when in fact, that never actually bears out. In fact, it's always the Democrats come along, balance the budget. Democrats come along and they solve a flailing economy. They
every
fix
time,
like Barack Obama did. Barack Obama rescued the economy from a second Great Depression when he came into office.
Point of order: I would prefer not to see that kind of Bush, but that's a different.
Hey.